One of the first steps of starting my Amazon FBA business was paying for a Helium 10 subscription. That cost me $99 a month, and I could start to see all of the data that was available to select my product. After that, I paid 99 Designs $250 to select my logo for my brand. I spent $50 to A/B test various different logos to make my final selection. Then I spent $200 filing for my LLC and another $925 to file my trademark for my business. The next step to selling my products on Amazon was to get UPC codes. So for $99, I was able to get all of the UPC codes sorted out, and $39.99 for my Amazon seller subscription fee. I spent $100 ordering samples from 3 manufacturers in the United States to select which one I wanted to go with. Once I received my samples and approved them, I spent $5,000 to order my first 1,000 units and $700 to ship them to me. Plus, there were a few other fees, so after all was said and done, totaled it up to $7,462 to start my Amazon FBA business. And in just 12 months, just with a single SKU, I made over $90,000 selling on Amazon. And in this video, I'm going to share my step-by-step process about how I started my Amazon FBA business, as well as exactly what my product is and how it did. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share my top 3 mistakes that I made, including one that cost me over $50,000. So pay attention, you don't want to make the same mistakes. Now I'm going to share my product with you, as well as the step-by-step process how I started my FBA business. My name is Stephen Pope. I started out my career as a television reporter, and during a blizzard in Wisconsin, biggest blizzard the state had seen in like a decade, it was 10 o'clock at night. During this giant blizzard, my hair froze over. I had hair at that time, and I just felt like an idiot, and everybody else was home in their pajamas. So I decided I wanted to switch my careers up, and I looked for a way to break into e-commerce. It took me a couple of years, a couple of in-between jobs, but I finally found Amazon. So I took jobs at other companies to learn how to sell on Amazon before I went out on my own. But while working on the corporate track, I sold everything from women's plus size clothing to rice cookers. So I saw how much opportunity there was on Amazon, making these companies millions of dollars while I worked there as an employee. And I wanted a piece of that pie for myself. So I took money from 6 years of corporate jobs to invest in my own product line. One of the things that I did to learn the ropes was to do retail arbitrage. And that's where you go to some stores, buy some discounted product, and hawk it on Amazon. That went really well for me, actually, and it was really great to learn all the logistics processes, but it seemingly was difficult to scale. So I knew I had to do something a little bit more long-term. I really wanted to make something in the United States, and that's gonna limit my possibilities to something consumable or topical. So I went with a beauty product, and my daughter, whose name is Sage, it just kind of made sense to me to start a new brand line, and I called it Age of Sage. And the idea was that I was gonna give this brand over to my daughter someday when she became of age. I found an opportunity in men's natural artisan soaps. There wasn't a lot of beauty brands catering to men's natural soaps. And so I saw an opportunity, and I figured, oh, if I go with a macho or a masculine line, this was gonna be highly successful, and it was. For every 100 women's soap product out there on Amazon, there was only one for men. And I could see that in the search term data through Helium 10 or Jungle Scout, and I said to myself, you know what? I bet if I launched a men's line, I would be successful day one. Turns out I was. We launched the Amazon Age of Sage brand. And be sure to hit that like button, because next up, I'm gonna be going through all of the costs that my brand went through when I started my first product. First up, $99 for Helium 10 to research out the product. Helium 10 is a product research tool, has very powerful keyword tracking abilities, so you can tell what the demand is for a keyword. You can even estimate the number of sales that are going behind it. And it's all public data, so it's all crawlable and you can find things very quickly. Personally, I wanted to stick to some products that I knew and understood first, and then I used the data from a tool like Helium 10 to support that decision. Up next, design and logoing for my packaging. Spent $250 with 99 designs, and there were so many designs that came across my plate. It was an overwhelming process. And I had to run a lot of different A/B tests. I used a tool called PickFu. At $50, basically figure out which one would resonate the best with my customer set, my demographics. I ran a lot of different A/B tests, not only the packaging and the design, but also the layout of the image. One of the things that I thought was gonna be very important was click-through rate. And I wanted to make sure that the layout of my images made the most sense. So I took the soaps, and I had a set of 4 that I was selling, and I figured out that if I had the set of 4 in a square shape, and then underneath it, I would put the actual product outside of the packaging in a smaller, kind of like emoji-sized set, and I'd have it right there as a horizontal line underneath it. And that was really effective. And by the way, my soaps, oh, these smell great. I love the smell of these soaps. They're so fantastic. And so if my product didn't work out, I was fully prepared to eat my own product. And by that, I mean take a lot of showers. It cost me $200 to set up an LLC. And I actually had this almost a year in advance prior to selling my own products because I knew I was gonna do this someday. And you don't have to file taxes if you don't have revenue. So I spent the full year just kind of like putting things prepared in place. So if you're trying to figure out like when you should file the LLC, I would just take care of it early, day one, because you're not gonna have any cursory additional expenses or renewal costs. Super easy to file it with the state. One piece of paperwork, you're done. Time for my first production run. So there are 3 US manufacturers that make artisan cold press soaps. I ordered samples from every single one of them. I was actually surprised. There was a clear front runner on the one that I went with. And one of the interesting things that I decided to do is I decided to buy it in loaves and then cut it at my own manufacturing facility. And then I bought packages separate from that. I put the soap into the package. Then I built a 4-package set and shipped it into Amazon. Samples cost me $100 from each of the manufacturers. Bought my 1,000 quantity run. I made a $5,000 commitment. Cost me $700 to get it all packaged, shipped up into Amazon FBA on top of that. Photography. This is a subject that often can be very difficult to get right. I chose to do photos myself. I had a really easy, good time getting these done. And so we did all of our photography in-house. So the cost of that, just time. UPC codes. And in 2024, you got to get your UPC codes directly from GS1. Cost of that was $99. The Amazon account fee, $39.99 a month. I do recommend going straight into the Pro subscription. That way, Amazon will respect your account. You'll have a faster time during the honeymoon period. You have access to more advertising features and a lot of other benefits. I filed my trademark with the USPTO, and that cost $925. Now, the ability to get the trademark opened me up to access to things like A+ content, brand stories, and even sponsored headline brand ads. Okay, now I'm ready to launch, and I'm excited to share how much we made in our first month selling the Age of Sage soap brand. So far, we'd spent $7,460 to get everything up and running in that first 30 days to start my soap business. Some aspects were a little bit more expensive than I expected, which was a mistake I'll reveal later in this video. But I needed to do this. I really wanted to have something to give to my daughter Sage someday. Took a leap of faith, and it was worth it. So month 1 revenue, $3,000 in revenue, 178 units that I sold, $923 in production costs, and then Amazon charges 15% as a referral fee, so that fee came in at $453. I also had to pay Amazon to pick, pack, and ship it, or the FBA fees. That cost me just under $1,000 at $982. Total profit on the first month, $664. So we're off to a great start. So in month 1, I actually made over $3,000. One of my favorite times to launch products is right after Black Friday or in that time frame. This product was chosen to launch during that time frame. I shot to the top of search on December 11th, #1 in soaps at new release. Critical to success. I love the #1 new release badge. It's such a helpful thing. Month 2, January of 2023, revenue dipped down to $2,076, 116 units in sales. Production costs, $600. Amazon selling fees, $311. Amazon FBA fees, that pick, pack, and ship, $640. PPC costs at $142. So total profit in month 2 in January 2023, $380. I made $2,000 in my second month. January is still strong after our launch, but then I really pushed into the next holiday, Valentine's Day. Buy soap for your loved ones kind of angle coming up. Became really sustainable for me. And what changed between month 2 and 3? Well, it was the pay-per-click that really took off, where you can pay to have your listing at the top of the search page and be seen by more customers. So you pay a small fee every time somebody clicks on that Amazon ad, and you get to the top of search faster. But the more sales you get on Amazon, the more sales Amazon rewards you with keyword rankings, search term boosts, and other benefits like that. Travis has a lot of great PPC tutorial videos in his course. You're gonna wanna click on this link and check those out. One of the most critical things that you'll do in marketing is understanding how pay-per-click works. Month 3, February 2023, this was our biggest month yet. due to Valentine's Day, revenue came in at $3,700, 212 units in sales, $1,100 in production costs, Amazon selling fees at $555, Amazon FBA fee, $1,170. PPC cost, $691. So we started to ramp up that PPC just a bit. Profit dipped down to $186. We made over $3,700 in this month, which was amazing and great. Valentine's Day definitely spiking the sales. PPC saw a lot more units in sales, which was super helpful, but it did cost me on the margins. And what I learned during this process is that men soaps definitely highly attractive to the consumer on Amazon. So we got a lot of demographic data. But what's interesting though is about 75% of the people that bought the soaps we're women. So I'm targeting women to buy a men's product, which was a little bit of an interesting marketing thing to learn how to do effectively. We had a very mixed March. It was our biggest revenue yet, over $9,000, but it was also our worst profit. We lost money. We lost 62 cents, in fact. I decided I was gonna try and really ramp up sales and really push the product, but at a very steep cost of eating up all the profit to grow the brand. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I sometimes ask myself, 1 being profit at the cost of growth and 10 being growth at the cost of profit, what's my number? Well, at the time, it was a 10 out of 10. I wanted to grow at the cost of all profit. So I actually started losing money selling this product at Amazon, but I was thinking long term. I was thinking about my daughter coming of age 13, 15 years down the road. From there, our month's revenue and profit has some high highs, some low lows. In our next months, April, May, June, our profits went up and up though. In April and May, we were just around $9,000 in revenue, but in June, it dipped down to $3,300. The units that we sold, May and April, right above 500 units, but in June it dipped down to 189. Production costs, which has been pretty static from a percentage standpoint, was $2,700 in the first 2 months, and then in that third month in June, $980. Amazon selling fees just over $1,300 in April and May, dipped down to $508 in June, due to less units being sold. Amazon selling FBA fees right around that $2,800, $2,900 in April and May. In June, just over $1,000. PPC costs, we had it around $1,600 in both the months of April and May, but down in July, we pulled it back to $300. We had a little bit of a stock out issue going into June, so we needed to wait for a production run, so we pulled PPC back and had to wait for some new goods to be delivered. Total profit in April and May was just over $350. In June, it was $548 when we basically turned PPC off almost all the way. The number one rule on Amazon is never go out of stock. And rule number 2 is kind of like rule number 1. No, seriously, never go out of stock. Because when you go out of stock, your sales plummet down, just like I saw in the June numbers. Over 80% of my sales went down in that June number because I was facing a stock out event. So I went for some margin, I pulled back on PPC spend and recovered on the profit just a bit. July, August, September, October, November, and December of 2023. The latter half of the year, we ended up increasing in revenue from over $6,000 in July to a whopping $16,656 in December. But our ad spend was increasing almost month over month, every single month, from spending $1,600 in July to over $5,500 in December. So we ended up starting to lose money every single month. But again, I was looking at that long-term growth trajectory about where I wanted to be in 5, 10, 15 years, and I was trying to gain market share. In July, I lost $322. November, we had our worst month and lost over $1,300. I look at PPC as an investment because for seemingly every PPC sale that I get like 3 organic sales over 6 months. So I was thinking long-term, every PPC sale would help me organically lift everything up. So in total, in our first 12 months selling our Age of Sage brand, we made $90,941 in revenue. But remember, revenue is not profit. So it's almost a 6-figure SKU by itself, but not a 6-figure in profit by any stretch. After taking all of our expenses, advertising, FBA fees, logistics, all of the startup costs, I actually lost $1,400 in my first year. But the next year, from January to June of 2024, we turned the ship around and we've already made $21,725 in revenue with a $3,900 in profit. But I could have earned so much more money if I'd avoided these 3 mistakes. So pay attention to this. My first big mistake, too many SKUs. So in this story, in this video, we've talked primarily about a single SKU of artisan soap that I was selling, my 4-pack, but I launched way too many scents. I had scents like Pimple Popper, and dirty socks. I started to make a teenager line, but my target demographic was not interested in this. So I wasted a lot of money building out additional scents and SKUs. If I had just stuck to my top 2 sellers, I would have made probably $50,000 more in net profits over the course of the brand's lifetime. My second mistake was purchasing a warehouse. This is a very expensive mistake, very big commitment that I made, and I wouldn't do it again. This mistake cost me $1 million, $36,000 a month in warehouse costs, employees, electricity, machines on top of that. I wanted to control everything. I was going for vertical control, manufacturing, distribution. We could buy the soft loaf, cut it up, put it into the boxes, and make it out in our own factory. And I wanted all of that control, and I figured I'd make more money if I did this. But little did I know that those production costs get out of hand very quickly. And it's very hard to control your cost of goods. Very hard to control employees quitting on you. So one of the nice things about Amazon FBA is you don't have to make these very large commitments in your first 3 years of business. You can side hustle this out of your garage, out of your closet if you need be, basement and whatnot, before going out and buying your own warehouse or manufacturing facility. And my biggest mistake number 3, I didn't start sooner. Not starting sooner cost me at least $50,000 in net profits just in the course of 1 year. But if we extrapolate that to 2, 3, 4, 5 years, wow, we're talking $250,000. I actually found Travis's channel pretty early on during my selling process, and some of his videos have helped me, opened up my mind and perspective on a couple of angles. What I really like about Travis's content is that he shows the real numbers, like the real truth, the real grit behind selling on Amazon.
And if you're new to my channel, I have a ton of real Amazon seller stories just like this one in this playlist of videos that you can get by clicking right here. I've interviewed dozens of real Amazon sellers, and they share everything from their startup costs, their revenue, their profit, what their product is, everything in these videos. So click on this playlist to see a list of real Amazon sellers videos. Thanks for watching.